Richician.
Hey YouTube, Richician84 here, and welcome to Q&A number 122. Let's kick it off. There's a few from John Cross, who likes my Sonic hoodie. What's your favourite candy bars? I already answered this in another episode, because Express Gaming asked me to rate what my favourites were. There's quite a few favourites, but rather awkwardly I don't remember how I rated them. But I did write them down in this book. So bear with me. At least I could have sworn it was this one. Huh. Never mind, apparently I was in another one. Oh well, well, I guess I can go over them again. I do like Whisper and Whisper Gold, but what I like even more is Milky Way bars and Mars bars, and Crunchies. Yeah, those are some favourites of mine, or at least the ones I had the most. What Yu-Gi-Oh products are you... I think... Excuse me. I'm pretty sure that was meant to say looking forward to opening. Must be autocorrect. At the moment there's nothing that I can think of. So far I only know we're getting the second Maze set, Phantom Nightmare, and Legacy of Destruction. I don't know what else we're getting. Although I did just remember that starter set thing, but I don't know too much about it. But honestly, or at least at the time of recording, there's actually nothing that I want right now, product-wise. I mean, that could change depending on what else comes out later on, but there's just nothing that appeals to me. I mean, yeah, you would think the gold Sarcophagus of Light cards would appeal to me in Legacy of Destruction, and I might consider making it on Edo Pro, but I just don't really want to get the cards in real life for reasons that I've already explained like a million times. I don't really want to say the same thing over and over again because I know how boring that can be. 3. What is your favourite Yu-Gi-Oh card besides Dark Magician and Neos? Well, Neos isn't actually among my top 10, but he is a favourite. He's one of my favourite ace monsters, one of my favourite elemental heroes, and one of my top 20 favourite warriors. But to answer the question, that would go to Elemental Hero Shining Flare Wingman, my second favourite card, and the ace monster of my Elemental Hero deck. Yeah, some would consider Shining Neos Wingman the new Elemental Hero ace monster, but for me, Shining Flare Wingman has always been the heart and soul of my Elemental Hero deck. I mean, that is my true Elemental Hero ace monster and boss monster. Always has been, always will be, ever since I started playing Elemental Heroes. All the way back in 2006. 4. I hate volcanic decks. Do you hate the volcanic deck? Well, While this technically didn't come up in a Q&A, this is something else I already answered technically. I mean, I've said in several videos how much I hate volcanics. I really can't fucking stand them. Um, but, they were perfectly fine though before Blaze Accelerator Reload came along. It used to be something that I like, but ever since that card came out, I've just hated them ever since because it's so fucking annoying. Um, Having it used to send Scattershot on my turn and have my monsters blown up on my turn. Um, Alright, some could argue that it's not much different from using Mirror Force, but using Mirror Force is completely different, because that can only be used on an attack declaration, whereas um, Reload can be used at any time during the main phase, which therefore makes it worse. Um, yeah, that card by itself just ruined them for me. Um, and then Emperor just doesn't look like a fun card to deal with either. I mean, I wasn't happy that Volcanics got more support in the Fire Legendary Duelist set. I mean, now, I haven't gone up against Emperor, obviously, because, well, I never want to play against Volcanics, but Emperor looks really fucking annoying. Um, and yeah, it's not something I want to deal with. Um, Question: Dark Magician versus Elemental Hero Shining Flare Wingman. I'm afraid I don't understand this question. Um, is it meant to be a question or is it a request? I'm a, yeah, that might need explaining more, so I'm gonna skip that one because I don't know what you're asking me there. Did you pick up any singles from the Yu-Gi-Oh! 2023 tins? Technically, yes, the quarter century Dark Magician promo. That was all. In fact, that was all I wanted from there, because nothing else interested me. What is your least favourite movie? I don't know if I have one really, but the closest thing would be Disaster Movie, because I do really like the movies, which are meant to be parodies of other movies, you know, scary movie, superhero movie, all that stuff. Um, I don't know. I just I don't think I enjoyed it as much as I thought I would. I don't know why. It didn't feel like something I could really get into. Um, Same with Epic Movie. It was implied that there'd be a bit more to it, but there just wasn't. Like I was hoping for more Superman Returns parody stuff, um, but that wasn't quite the case. Speaking of, this leads to the next question: what is your favourite superhero? Well, without a doubt, that would be Superman, the Man of Steel himself. He is a red hot favourite of mine. Standing for truth, justice, and the American way. Um, like he's just really cool and one of the best. I say it like that because I don't want to insult any Batman fans. I mean, Batman is really cool as well in his own right. I just like Superman more. I mean, look at him. Has super speed, flies, has super strength, is invincible. Um, and I wish I had all these abilities. Uh, but obviously without the weakness of kryptonite and magic. I mean, if I could run as fast as he could and could fly, then I wouldn't have to worry about public transport ever again. I wouldn't have to put up with stupid train strikes and delays and engineering work and buses that never turn up on time. That would be great. Right, yeah, this does kind of contradict my fear of flying on aeroplanes, but at least if I had the ability to fly, I would have a lot more control um, over myself, if that makes sense. Uh, oh yeah, and yours is 4 on the Flash. And last question from him: are you going to do another Yu-Gi-Oh movie? Of course I will. I would like to do more. And of course, don't forget, there's still that big movie that me, Emma, Express Gaming, and Webbers 5 are working on, where we basically take on the demon and the cyborg. But the problem is, like I said, that movie is still in development hell. Like, I don't know if we're ever going to get round to finishing it. As we've not had a chance to film any other scenes. We don't have a script for the duels. Um, just too many things have been stopping us from being able to do it. Which is annoying, because I would... Well, I would like to have it complete and give you guys a satisfying conclusion, but I don't know, I'm still tempted to just cancel the whole thing altogether and just make um, a similar movie involving me and other heroic characters taking on the demon and the cyborg and just defeating them once and for all. Like, one way or another, I do want to have something that gives a satisfying conclusion to the whole storyline. And of course, I would like to make some other movies that happen before that takes place, but then it feels like it contradicts that one I made where I take on my evil robot clone, because part of the title was The Calm Before the Storm, therefore implying that the big movie is supposed to be next in the series. And I'm just worried that doing any others would sort of contradict that. Even though I did make 2 already. One being that one me and Express Gaming did for the Team Sorcerers channel, where I take on the Reaper, and then of course that other one where I take on Eevee Bot. So I guess that, well, the one with Eevee Bot, I guess, is a sequel, but not really a direct one, I guess. And thinking about it, I don't even know if that movie where I take on the Reaper is like a sequel or whether it's a part of a different series. That's something I hadn't thought about. Well, either way, one way or another movie will come at some point. I just don't know when. Next questions are from Matt and Alison Welch. 1. What did you think of my September 2007 Baboon Burn deck profile? I know Rise you can't stand, but minus him. Well, here's the thing. I mean, I do like Baboon. Green Baboon Defender of the Forest. I kind of forgot he existed, to be honest. But I just don't like the generic burn stuff, because as I said before, I just hate burn decks of any kind. Well, except for Battle Burn, although the only Battle Burn deck I hate is Trick Stars. I mean, like I said, there's not enough words to describe how much I fucking hate Trick Stars. I just wish that deck either didn't exist, or Lycoris and Light's reincarnation rather would get banned just to make it a fair and balanced deck. But that's a different rant. But yeah, other than that, I just I hate burn decks. I hate all story burn decks. Chain burn, nurse burn, bad reaction burn, generic burn. They're just infuriating and toxic as fuck, and it's just like they just defeat the point of the game and only exist to piss everyone off and make their lives a misery. I mean, yeah, minus Riser, everything else in the deck I do like. But yeah, Riser and the generic burn cards need to get the fuck out, basically. Two, if you combine your Elemental Hero and Rainbow Neos decks together, how would you make the extra deck work in that deck? Well, I did have one idea. Yeah, this is the Elemental Hero deck with Rainbow Neos in it, and this was what I came up with. It's something I'm still thinking about, considering, like I said, these are the only original Elemental Heroes I'm playing in my Elemental Hero deck. And obviously I'd only be able to fit in 2 copies of Rainbow Neos Fusion and Rainbow Dragon in here. But rather annoyingly, I didn't have room to put in Flame Wingman Infernal Rage. That's the annoying thing. But like I said, I still don't know if I'll actually combine them together. As I kind of like having both decks as their own decks doing their own thing. So it's tricky. So yeah. Of course, it might be something I'll still do if we get my own custom format going, the one I told you about and the one I mentioned in the intro of Series 9 of the Dark Richician's Deck Grand Championship, where one of the rules is the extra deck limit is 20 instead of 15. Again, that's something I'll talk about another time, but yeah, I could fit more in if I played it under that format, but we'll see. Still some uncertain ideas. And the next question is from Pokemaster Cube. Hi Graham, it's been a while. Hope you're well. Yeah, for those who don't know, this guy was someone who attended a lot of the Pharaoh's Elite / Aylesbury event tournaments from 2008 to 2012, and he was known for playing this really cool generic dragon deck. Speaking of, this leads to the question. Hopefully this question is fine. Yeah, of course it is. Do you remember the old Exploding Revival dragon deck from many years ago? Yes, I do remember that deck very well. How could I forget? That was your signature deck. Um, yeah, and yeah, I really liked it. It was really cool, even though there were some annoying times where I struggled against it. Mainly with Prismagician and Legendary Hero, which was so annoying because they were both my signature decks at the time, and I was hardly ever winning any games um, against that deck. I think there was one time where Prismagician did win, but that was only because you bricked. Um, but other than that, I just got overwhelmed too easily when playing Prismagician and just wasn't getting a lot of good draws. Um, and even Legendary Heroes struggled a couple of times, especially one time where Kokumeru Draco was on the field, and that was just so infuriating, and I couldn't summon any of my light and dark monsters. So no Dark Magician, no Dark Paladin, Neos, Shining Flare Wingman, Rainbow Neos. I just couldn't summon them. And there was one point in that duel where I brought out Absolute Zero and tried to get rid of Draco, but I think you did something to stop his effect going off. And then, of course, there was that tournament game where I managed to get out Rainbow Neos and turn the duel in my favour, and like twice in a row you got out Exploder Dragon. I was like, are you kidding me? And there was even one point where I think in the same match where I did draw into Magic Cylinder and set it, and you had a load of big monsters, and I thought I could get game if you attacked with anything, and then you brought out Black Winged Dragon, and again it was like, are you actually kidding me right now? Um, Eventually I did get a win against it and get my own back, and that was the last time we played, which was when I used my Elemental Hero deck. This was when you seemed to be taken by surprise about the fact that Plasma Vice's effect wasn't once per turn. But so yeah, at least I was finally able to get a win again. I know you weren't having a good time that day in the tournament, which I do still genuinely feel bad about even to this day, but uh, you know, it is what it is. I mean, but yeah, it was a very memorable deck, and it's still really cool. I mean, yeah, you did have other decks. Gladiator Beasts Dark World, which, by the way, I did not enjoy playing against. I mean, even to this day, Glads and Dark World are decks that I hate with a passion. And then, of course, you also had Sacred Beasts and Gen X, which I did really like a lot. But Dragons was like uh, the signature deck, your most notable one, and the one which you had the most fun with, I think. Although, of course, I know you did have fun with Gen X and Sacred Beasts as well, but yeah, Dragons is your most recognisable. Next questions are from Weber's 5. Um, 1. After seeing that memory come up on Facebook, I'm curious, what's your favourite Sonic the Hedgehog theme? Yeah, for those who don't know what I'm talking about, I shared a memory about Sonic Heroes being released in 2004. This was something I shared back in 2017, and it said 13 years ago this game came out, and then I said, well, now it's been 20 years since Sonic Heroes came out. Yeah, let that sink in for a moment, everyone. I am not okay with this. Anyway, the question. I assume you're referring to the video games, although I don't know if you're also referring to the cartoon as well. I did like the ones that came out in the early 90s, you know, The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic the Hedgehog. They're brilliant, iconic themes. Don't know which one's the favourite there. Regarding video games, I really liked the one for Sonic 1 and Sonic and Knuckles. Um, Sonic Adventures 1 and 2 was great, and of course so was Sonic Heroes, and I guess Sonic Generations. Yeah, that's a really tough one. I can't think which one I like more, to be honest. They're so great in their own right. Um, but I did like those ones more than any of the others. Uh, 2. I know you have no interest in their TCG counterparts, but did you ever watch either of the Pokemon or Digimon anime series? Um, Technically, yes. I did watch a bit of a Digimon episode, but that was purely because I just happened to be in the room and my younger brother was watching it at the time. Um, Same with Pokemon. I did see bits of some Pokemon episodes, but again, I just happened to be in the room and he was watching it. But I guess I was just really bored at the time. But yeah, they just didn't interest me. 3. If you're drinking tea, what's your milk ratio? I don't really know. I just um, if I make a cuppa, then I pour milk for like 1.5 seconds. So I don't know what kind of ratio that is. But the time is just my best guess. Um, so uh, yeah, generally try not to put in too much, but I also try not to put in too little, um, if that makes sense. And 4, I've seen a Facebook post from Kong's Cards with pre-sale of the new Maze set. They were selling Bonfire at $80 pre-sale, and it's sold out. Can you think of any other cards from Yu-Gi-Oh! History that were pre-sale released at ridiculous rates? Um, Honestly, I don't think there was anything. I mean, there might have been, but I honestly can't think of anything off the top of my head. As in all the years I've played Yu-Gi-Oh, it wasn't really something I paid attention to. I mean, the closest thing being would be the 2011 collectible tins going out of print like 5 or 6 months after their initial release. That's pretty much it, really. And the last bunch of questions are from Sparkman, um, with some more Sonic trivia. Did you know that Dr. Eggman, also known as Dr. Robotnik, was going to be the main protagonist? One of the many designs that were proposed for the game was a familiar egg-shaped man with a giant moustache and pyjamas. I don't think I did know that, no. But I just wonder how that would have even worked with Eggman being the hero and Sonic being the villain. It's hard to picture. I mean, maybe there was a way it could have worked, but I kind of do. Well, not kind of, but I do really like that it worked out the way it did, with Sonic being the super fast hero and Robotnik being the villain. Anyway, the questions. What is most important to you when picking a deck to build and play? Is it the playstyle, the art, the protagonist that uses it, or something else? Um, I guess it would have to be the playstyle and the fact that a protagonist plays it, mainly. Um, that's the only thing I can think of. I mean, yeah, the artwork is cool, but the play style and the fact that it's a protagonist deck is what appeals to me most. Hence being a big Dark Magician and Elemental Hero fan. Although I have played other anime decks that protagonists don't use, I mean, rival decks, villain decks. Um, uh, yeah, protagonist ones are more in my favour. Um, but it's not just Dark Magician and Elemental Heroes. I have played other archetypes that protagonists use. Synchrons, Stardust, Utopia, Gagagas, Odd Eyes, Performer Powers, Magician Pendulums, Cybursts, and then of course other archetypes that Yugi and Jaden play, the Neo-Spacians obviously, Magnet Warriors, Gadgets, Poker Knights, Summon Skull, Blackluster Soldier, the Egyptian Gods. Um, yeah, I think that answers that question. 2. How do you go about making your decks? Well, I generally try to stick as much to the theme as possible, but also have generic staples or semi-staples in there to help it out as much as I can. Um, I mean, usually the staples I put in, if I can, are Monster Reborn, Regeki, Twin Twisters, Mirror Force, Storming Mirror Force, and 2 copies of Solemn Strike. That's what I usually go for, and yeah, I try to play those in absolutely every single deck I play because they work out really well for me. But I can't always fit them into every single deck that I play. I mean, there are decks I have that don't even play Monster Reborn, and decks that don't even play Battle Traps. Because, well, it's not really necessary. And then, of course, there's decks which I can't really put traps in at all, or hardly play any. I mean, I don't play any traps in my Blackluster Soldier deck because it's got to a point where I don't feel the need to play them. Same with my Supreme King deck. And then in 2016 it got to a point where Blue Eyes White Dragon decks just don't play traps and just don't need them. Then of course the True Light came along, and then of course that became the only trap I play in that deck. But yeah, other than that, I do try and fit those into every deck if I can, but also just fully stick to the theme of the deck, and just stick to the whole point of it, basically. Now I know obviously there are players who find Infinite Impermanence better, and I would try and fit it in as well, but it's difficult to decide between the two of them because they're as good as each other. I mean, obviously Imperm can be activated from the hand if you control no cards, which is an added bonus, and if it was activated while set, it does have the bonus effect of negating the effects of any spell and trap that get played in the same column, which is an added bonus. But of course the only downside is it targets and it doesn't destroy that monster. Plus, in a Dark Magician deck, it's kind of hard to get off the effect to activate it from hand, considering I generally put a lot of cards on the field. Whereas with Solemn Strike, it doesn't target, which is great, and it does destroy the monster, which is fantastic. But of course, the downside is it does cost life points. I mean, 1500 isn't much to give up, but it's not great late game. If anything, it's a real gamble. The other downside is it's a dead card if I don't have enough life points to use it. Um, but of course, it doesn't. That doesn't always happen though. It has happened, but not a lot of the time. Or in some decks, I don't even play Imperm or Solemn Strike. I generally go for Fiendish Chain, which I still play in my Rainbow Neos deck to this day. Um, I mean, sure it does, and it has some other beneficial effects where it just stays on the field and stops that monster from attacking or using its effect, which is beneficial, but again, the problem is it is something that targets. But the reason I play that in Rainbow Neos over other monster effect negation is because I can get an additional use out of it, sending it to the grave to activate Rainbow Neos' second effect to spin the opponent's back row. But sometimes I don't even play any of those three cards, and instead I play Breakthrough Skill, particularly in Sky Scourge Karibo, Light Rays, and Legendary Knights. Because in Sky Scourge Karibo, there's that chance I can just end up losing it through the effect of Sky Scourge Norlaz, but if it gets sent off Norlaz, or I've used it properly, I can still get use of it in the graveyard. Same reason why I play it in Light Rays and Legendary Knights, because I play Light Swarms in there to basically set my graveyard up for the Light Rays, and in Legendary Knights I use them to get the Legendary Dragons in grave, so I can activate Legend of Heart. The problem is those decks can be bricky and inconsistent, even with the Light Swan stuff, and I really don't want to have to rely on it because of my bad history with Light Swans from 2009 and 14, but I need to play them, otherwise the decks just don't work. But yeah, anyway, with the milling, there is a chance I'll end up milling Breakthrough Skill. I mean, it would be bad if I lost any other form of monster effect negation, but at least if Breakthrough Skill gets sent, I can use it from beyond the grave, as long as the monster I want to use it on can be targeted. So, yeah, hopefully that answers that question. 3. What are your thoughts on net decking? I myself think it's a viable thing to do, especially when you're learning how to play a deck. Well, that is a fair point. I mean, I have mixed feelings about it, but I do agree with you on one thing. It does help if new players are trying to get into the game, or if players want to play a deck that they've not played before. Or if they are making a deck and are stuck for ideas, they can look at a deck profile and get some ideas from that. Hell, even I myself have done that a few times, looked at other people's profiles for ideas. Not even just for me, but also Emma when I made her 5 decks. Because I myself don't have a clue. And there is, of course, the fact that Matt and Alison Welch did make a copy of my September 2007 Dark Magician deck and copied it card for card, but that's perfectly okay because it's more of a tribute deck, and it was sort of made in my honour because of Dark January. So I guess net decking is fine in that sense. What I do have a problem with regarding net decking is people just copying the decks card for card and then just playing it regardless, as if it was their own thing, and they're just not being original, and they can't think of their own ideas. Um, and it's like, well, it's not even your deck. You just copied someone else and are playing it as if it's your own. Um, it's just, yeah, it's not great, and not original at all. Um, well, the other positive thing I forgot to mention is it's fine uh, making us basically the same deck as long as you basically give credit to the player you got this idea off, and or change a few cards around and make it your own, then yeah, that's perfectly fine. If that makes sense. Um, 4. What is your least favourite thing about the game of Yu-Gi-Oh? Well, to be honest, I feel like I talked about this already when I did that rant about current format Yu-Gi-Oh. I mean, one thing I don't like is how certain cards that people want and need are too expensive and too difficult to get. Um, I mean, cards should not be worth hundreds or even thousands of pounds. I mean, it's a rip-off, it's daylight robbery, and it makes it really difficult for players who basically can't afford to get these cards, and it's just not right. Um, but I think what I hate even more is just that almost everyone's being too competitive. Uh, because people just seem more interested in winning turn 1 before anyone's had a chance to do something, whether it's through an FTK deck or an OTK deck, or trying to win with cards that basically don't let your opponent play. You know, negates, floodgates, cards that are disruptive to a point where the opponent can't play the game. You know, Goatee, Plunder Patrol, Flunderies, that sort of thing, and bullshit hand traps, more specifically Ash, Droll, D-Shifter, Cyframe, Gamma, and DD Crow. That's, I swear, it's just all anyone ever wants to do nowadays. And there's like not a lot of people who play it the way it should be played, with absolutely none of that bullshit, and just want to actually have a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And want a fair and balanced game where both players have a fair and equal chance of winning. And that's just it. Like, people who play all these OTK, FTK, and lockdown decks, and even troll decks, just seem to only care about winning rather than playing for the fun of it, which is kind of the whole point. I mean, it's a game. Games are meant to be fun. No, not trying desperately to win all the time with cards and decks that say you can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! And it just bothers me that it's brought into casual settings. I mean, it just feels like there's no escape, whether it's like a normal casual game, a current format tournaments, 2.5, or even the minor league. It's just like, why does it have to be this way? Like, but I already went over this, like, in that rant video, like I said, and talked about it in private messages, like mainly our big Yu-Gi-Oh chat, even though it's been a few weeks now. And this sort of thing can just be really off-putting. I mean, it's hard to expect anyone to any new players to get into the game or former players to get back into the game when this bullshit exists. And like I said, it's just making me not want to play current format Yu-Gi-Oh anymore. In fact, provided I do get my own custom formats into full swing, with Matt and Alison, Welch and Emma, then yeah, I actually will end up quitting current format. But maybe I'll give the minor league another go at least. But again, nothing's been decided yet. Anyway, I digress. Wow, this is a long-ass episode. What is your favourite thing about the game of Yu-Gi-Oh? For me, it's the community and friends I have made, such as yourself. Yeah, I have to agree with you on that one. It's basically the more nostalgic cards. I mean, the classic boss monsters, and again, the community and friends that I made along the way, including you. Of course, there's the fact that I got my current job because of the game as well, and of course ended up meeting Emma, the love of my life, whom I'm now engaged to. Despite ranting about the things I don't like about Yu-Gi-Oh, for me, more good things have come out of it than bad ones, so that's still a plus. And I'll never quit the game just outright. I mean, I've been playing for 20 years. It just wouldn't be right if I stopped playing altogether, since so many great things have come out of it. 6. Thoughts on rush duels? This is another question that already came up, but it has been a while. I like the look of rush duels. I mean, that is something I am willing to try if the TCG do get it. I mean, it looks a lot of fun and more chilled and looks so much easier to play than current format. And I do like the fact that whoever goes first can draw. I love that you can perform multiple normal summons, which means you don't really brick ever, depending on what kind of hand you have. It is a shame that legend cards are limited, like Dark Magician, but I'm okay with that, because at least I can use a legend spell and a legend trap alongside him, and it will feel like pre-synchro era when I played one Dark Magician in my deck because I wanted to feel like Yugi, and at least if I played Rush Duels I can get that feeling again. Non-Yu-Gi-Oh questions. What was your favourite movie of 2023? Doesn't have to come out in 2023. Wow, that's a good question. I've not seen that many, although me and Emma did watch quite a few of them. But I guess yeah, if you're saying it doesn't have to come out in 2023, then I'm gonna say Lord of the Rings: Return of the King, which came out 20 years previously, of course. I mean, of all the Lord of the Rings films, that was my favourite of them all. And yeah, back in November and December, we did watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and yeah, Return of the King is the favourite. And last question, do you know Joe? I don't know if this is a meme question or a serious question, but you'll have to be more specific, because I know multiple people called Joe, including my friend Brendan's brother. There is also Code, and of course there is also Joe from TTR, who I've not really interacted with except the 2 times where we played against each other. But I still know who he is. And, look, I don't even know if I answered that right, but that's the answer you're getting. And that is it for questions. Thank you very much for your guys' questions. Brilliant ones as always. And if you've got any other questions you want to ask me, post them in the comments down below. And remember, I do these episodes every Tuesday afternoon or evening, UK time, so be sure to get your questions in before then, so that you don't miss out. Thanks again, stay safe, and I'll catch you guys later. See ya. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the Richician YouTube channel.